Could Dabo Swinney be Texas A&M's next head football coach?
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in to Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So, a name that I would say if you look up Texas A&M head coach hot boards, half of them have this name, half of them don't, but is Dabo Swinney. Paul Feinbaum talked about it. Paul Feinbaum, someone I respect a bunch, talked about Dabo Swinney being a guy who needs to go take this Texas A&M job. I think what Dabo Swinney could do at Texas A&M would be insane. And the reason, I have been getting a lot of people, saying that I'm too high on the program. I'm too high on Texas A&M football. At the end of the day, the reality of the situation is Texas A&M had the talent to be one of the best programs over these last handful of seasons. You didn't have the coach. Now is your opportunity to go get the coach, that takes this talent and succeeds with it. I've talked about it a ton. If you gave Lane Kiffin, Dan Lanning, I'm not talking about these guys as names for coaching. I'm talking about like if you gave those kind of coaches this talent, watch out. Dabo Swinney is a coach who has proven that he can take talent and turn that into national championships. Look at some of these players he's coached. Look at some of the stuff that he's done during his time as the head man at Clemson. Look at the way he's recruited. Let's look at his 2023 class, number 15 overall, 5-star, 4-star, 4-star, top 100 guys. 2022, his class was number 14. So he's proven that he can bring in top, 15 classes. And then I'm pretty sure if you go back before the NIL times, Clemson was up there near the top. Let's check out 2019's class. In 2019's class, Clemson was 12. Okay, no, so they've always been around here. But Dabo Swinney has proven he can recruit top 15, top 10 classes. And he can take that talent, he can develop it, he can turn that talent into NFL players, and he can win ACC championships, national championships with those players on his roster. That is what he has proven during his time as the head coach at Clemson. And I think, once again, what he could do at Texas A&M would be scary. I think Dabo, X's and O's wise, is a top 5 coach in college football. I think that X's and O's are what Texas A&M's missing. We talk about it a ton, but it's that has been the issue. It hasn't been motivation or talent or recruiting. No, it has been development, execution, X's and O's. That is what has been the issue at Texas A&M during the Jimbo Fisher tenure. So, and it seems like there's some stuff going on between Clemson and Dabo right now. Could he take this job? Will Texas A&M call him? That's what, that's the fun part of this. That is why this is so fun and we're speculating who's going to be the next guy. But Dabo is a guy that I think Texas A&M needs to call. And I think he would take the phone call, frankly. So I know that, he's a proven winner. He's proven that he can turn talent into championships, as I said. And I think that now I know that Dabo is interesting. He's different in his viewpoint on NIL, his viewpoint on transfer portal stuff. But his viewpoint on transfer portal stuff says one thing to me, and it's that he can develop the players he's landing, which I love. It's not well, that player we recruited, the number 124 player in the class, that corner, he didn't turn into much. So we'll go get someone in the portal. He sticks to his guys, he recruits, and he develops. And I think that you could see now, Texas A&M will handle the NIL side of things. I think that you'll see, I think that could be a caveat in taking him when they talk to him. Is like, listen, you got to be willing to use the portal. Would he do that? Would he say, okay, I'm not taking the job? I don't know. But I know that that's how he kind of is. He doesn't like to use those things. He likes how college football was, not how it is. But you know what they say, adapt or die, and he needs to adapt at some point. So I look at this truly, and I'm telling you, I think Dabo Swinney, will he be the guy? I'm not sure. I think it's an interesting name. Haven't seen it out there a ton. Haven't seen a lot of Aggie fans talking about it. And once again, y'all, Texas A&M fans, if you're listening and you're anti-Dabo, let me know in the comments. That's the whole point of this. I'm going to share my viewpoints. Y'all share yours. That's why, I talked about Mike Elko yesterday. I'm not really in on that personally. And I voiced that. Some people agreed, some people disagreed. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the back and forth. That is what this is meant to be. But I think Dabo is a name that hasn't been talked about enough, that is a guy who could come in and succeed at Texas A&M. It'll be interesting to see, Paul Feinbaum says this. I've seen him on some hot boards at different media platforms. So it'll be interesting to see. And once again, the other thing we've talked about is the issue with going to get a Washington coach or a Dan Lanning is they're going to be competing for a national championship. You're going to miss signing day with them. You're going to miss transfer portal windows with them. It's going to severely affect any chance of doing anything cool in 2024. Going to get Debo Samuel. That's funny. Going to get Dabo, I don't think they're going to be competing for all that much this year with the lack of success they've had. So I think that Dabo's a guy who can come right in quick and close on the portal. Maybe you can flip some of his 5 stars. Maybe you could flip some of his talented 4 stars in this class. Maybe he can keep some of the 4-star and 5-star players committed to Texas A&M to stick around. That'll be interesting, but I think getting someone in here soon to take on this coaching job will be huge. So Dabo Swinney is an interesting name. Will he take the phone call? Will they make the phone call? Still to be seen, but it's a name that's been floating around a little bit that I personally think if you did make that move, I think he would succeed at Texas A&M, and you could see this program make a move in the right direction and be really good for a very, very, very long time. We're going to talk about Stephen A. Smith's comments on Deion Sanders. What are my thoughts on that? Is Deion Sanders a true candidate? Could we see this happen? We'll discuss all that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. First, we're going to talk about our wonderful friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and leveled up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. So the Deion Sanders conversation is a fun one. It's going to be fun to break this down. Is there any reality to this? Could you see Deion Sanders make the move down to College Station, make the move to Texas? I lean toward no, but once again, I do think, it's a conversation we have to have with it floating around. Stephen A. Smith saying this. You've seen it on the hot boards. Deion Sanders, my concern with him, I promise you, is not recruiting. We know he can recruit. We know he can use that portal well. We know he can call anybody in the world, and they'll answer and they'll be interested because it's Deion Sanders, and Deion Sanders is awesome. But is he a football coach? You know, I'm not trying to knock what he did at Jackson State as previous spot, but the players he had, I think, kind of leveled him up from the competition there, you know, to where those teams couldn't really compete against what he had. He gets to Colorado. He gets off to a hot Cinderella story start. It's exciting. You have celebrities. You have lots of people around the program. It's exciting. There's a lot going on. And then the losing starts, and they've lost a whole bunch of games in a row now. Record's not looking good. Bowl game is even in jeopardy. And that is my concern. And that was Stephen A. Smith, another guy who's just an absolute. I love Stephen A. Smith. He always, for those of you that are Cowboy fans, close your ears. But I love his bit on the Cowboys. For Texans fans, you get it. But I always love his bit on that. I think it's hilarious. But I look at this and I go, I don't think he is a serious candidate for this job, but I do think it's a conversation that should be had based on the fact that, it's being floated around on hot boards. It's out there. We're going to break down every single coach that's on a hot board until someone is the new head coach of Texas A&M. And, he'll recruit at Texas A&M. And what he would do recruiting with the NIL at Texas A&M is truly, I think he could, recruit Myles Garrett back to Texas A&M. I mean, that is what you're going to see happen, is you're going to see number one classes, bang, 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 bang. But then the question is this just Jimbo Fisher again, where you're recruiting well, you're recruiting at a very high level, number one classes, but is it turning into wins on the football field? And that is what is a question mark. That is what is still to be seen with prime time. Because I look at this and I go, at Colorado, what, kind of has he done? What has he done with that talent? I mean, you could argue it's a pretty talented roster he has over there at Colorado, and it hasn't really turned into wins. I know that he didn't have that roster this season where he wants it to be for the future. And I believe the more time he's there, that there will be more and more and more and more players, talented players in that program. But will he come to Texas A&M? I don't know. I don't think Texas A&M is looking for another coach who's going to recruit well, but can he win football games? And to me, that's what Deion Sanders is right now. He could change that, and I'm rooting for that. I think it's good for college football, what he's doing, what he's bringing around. He's creating excitement. Colorado brings excitement to the college football world. That's what Deion Sanders is doing, which is great for these athletes. It's great for the athletes everywhere. Everywhere it's great for these athletes, not just at Colorado, because it's bringing excitement to the game. It's bringing new viewership. It's bringing a younger audience. It's bringing all kinds of audiences to the college football world because primetime is exciting, and it's an exciting thing. And his son is a great quarterback, and it's a fun thing going on, but I just don't think you could see that. I don't think you're going to see it at Texas A&M. It will be interesting to see if his name floats around more, if it picks up any steam. I don't think it will, but it's a name that is out there. So like I said, we're going to talk about it, but and it's like, if 4 years down the road, Deion Sanders proved that, hey, I can recruit, develop talent, and win football games with X's and O's, I'd love to get him down to College Station. But I just don't think he's where he needs to be in his coaching career to make that move. And that is my concern. So, and I'm hoping that Texas A&M is not looking for a new head football coach a few years down the road when Coach Sanders will have potentially proven that. So, I think it's a fun conversation. It's an interesting conversation, but I don't think he's a genuine candidate for the job. as I said, to reiterate, I don't think what he did at Jackson State, I don't even think it was really fair. I just think his team's there with Travis Hunter and with his son. I mean, which we've proven they can compete in they can compete in Power 5 football. So I don't think that what they did at Jackson State is a real, hey, he's a great coach. I think he could be, but I just think they were picking on teams that weren't as good and with more talent. So I think Coach Prime has more to prove before he makes the move to Texas A&M or makes the move to the SEC, makes the move to the Big Ten, whatever. But I guess, I don't know, obviously Colorado Pac-12 ain't a thing no more, so we'll see how that plays out. But I think before he makes the move to, like a school like a Texas A&M, a big-time program, you're going to have to see more wins on the field with the talent he has. So it'll be interesting to see if Coach Deion Sanders is able to get that. But no, where we sit right now, Stephen A. saying it, I don't see Coach Prime as a legit candidate for the Texas A&M head coaching job. But it would bring excitement to College Station. There is no doubt about that. We're going to talk about a very interesting topic I thought about. And it has to do kind of comparing Elijah Robinson, the interim head coach for the Aggies situation, to what we saw last year with Auburn. And we'll have that conversation right here on Locked On Aggies. First, we're going to talk about our wonderful friends over at FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app's easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. I use FanDuel. I love FanDuel. It's really just fun to use. It's an easy app to use. They're always giving you boosts, and they're always giving you this and that to help you win. They'll give you celebrities picks and different NFL players picks, or not NFL players, but former NFL players picks, and just let you see what other people like. It's just a fun and easy app to use. I highly recommend FanDuel. It's the best sports book. I love it. It's easy to use. Go check out FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. So this conversation is one of those, I was laying down, just getting ready to go to bed last night. I was kind of like, this seems relevant. And I want to bring this conversation up. I think it's a fun conversation. What we saw last year at Auburn, I think, could be similar to what we see this year at Texas A&M when it comes to interim capacity. And I'll tell you why. Elijah Robinson is loved by all of the recruits, by all of the players. Everybody loves Elijah Robinson. It seems like everybody's, is hoping that, I think some Texas A&M fans, and we'll have this conversation another time, but are hoping that Coach Robinson gets the opportunity to be the head coach at Texas A&M. But what we saw last year at Auburn, they fire their head coach, who was, that was a dumpster fire. They let Cadillac Williams take over as the interim coach. And it seemed, and as Aggie fans know, because we had to go play at Jordan-Hare Stadium against the Auburn Tigers in that football game. Of course, Auburn wins. And that game, to me, what you saw post-game, just watching, you saw hope. Hope is something that is very important when it comes to a football program. Aggie fans right now, I think, feel hopeless because of what had happened under Coach Fisher. We've got one of the best rosters of college football, but we just can't win football games. Why? Why us? Why does this keep happening? Why can't we win football games? This is awful. This should give Texas A&M fans hope of what is to come. Elijah Robinson, like I said, he's loved by all the players on the team, all of the recruits. They love him. They've been tweeting about it. I've seen multiple recruits. Miles Davis said this. There was one more that said it, and I'm forgetting who it was, but tweeted and said, hey, I'm sticking with Texas A&M because of Coach Elijah Robinson. This is a big deal. And what this says is if Elijah Robinson, does interview for the job, doesn't get the job, you got to keep him on staff, just like Hugh Freeze did at Auburn, keeping Cadillac Williams on staff. Now look at what that team's doing. That team is they're they just beat the brakes off Arkansas. I don't know what the record is, but they're in a good position recruiting wise, record wise. I think they've got 6 wins and they've got a rink to dink this week, so they'll have 7 wins going into the Iron Bowl. So 7-5 is the floor now, with the ceiling being Iron Bowl win and 8-4. That is what they've done and created immediately with a roster at Auburn that was, of course, awful compared to what Texas A&M has right now. So I think that Elijah Robinson, if you don't give him the head coaching job, you keep him on staff. And the reason you do that, not only because he's an incredible person, he's a great football coach, and he's loved by everybody, it just is going to help you keep players on the current roster in College Station, and players in this 2024 recruiting class in the recruiting class. That is why you do it. I mean, whoever it is, if it's Dabo, if it's Deion, if it's Elko, Jeff Traylor, Norvell, whoever it is, whoever the coach ends up being, you keep Elijah Robinson on this staff, because he is proven recruits love him. Like I said, the players love him. And what that is going to do is lead to people sticking around through this situation. If you want to do anything in any capacity of the success next season, you're going to have to keep some talent on the roster this year, from this year's roster, and keep some of these talented players committed in the 2024 class. If it's complete, everybody's gone, everybody's out of there, and we see all that happen, you're not going to see this team succeed next year. Even if you bring in a Dabo, it's going to be hard. If everybody leaves and you lose all your recruits, it's going to be hard to win next season. But like I said, if you hold on to some of this talent, you hold on to some of these players, what we could see happen is this team in 2024 could succeed, because you hold on to 24 recruits, you hold on to the roster, you keep Elijah Robinson, you bring in a new coach, you keep him on staff. You're still going to have, I would argue, a top 10 roster in college football. And I believe a guy like Dabo Swinney can compete at a very high level, very, very high level, with a top 10, top 5 roster in college football. So that is the importance. That is the similarities I see between Auburn's situation last year and Texas A&M situation this year. And that's why, if you go win that LSU game, think of the excitement it would bring. The players are happy, coaches happy, and then you really have the conversation of, do we keep Coach Elijah Robinson and have him just be the head coach? I think he'll be a head coach very soon, if not now. He's just a good football coach, great person, great personality, great recruiter, everything you need to be a successful coach in college football. So that is why Elijah Robinson is so important to the future of Texas A&M, so important to what the Aggies want to do going forward. You got to keep him around for a very, very long time. That is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Talked about Dabo, talked about Deion, talked about some similarities between Auburn and A&M from last year to this year, Coach Elijah Robinson, what he means. Talked about all that on today's episode. It was fun. We're going to keep running through names on hot boards, running through names. That's what we're going to be doing here at Locked On Aggies until Texas A&M has a new coach. We have Jeff Traylor still to talk about, lots of candidates. I think we might give Glenn Schumann his own episode. Lots of head coach candidates to talk about over at Locked On Aggies. So that's what we're going to be doing. I will talk a little bit about the Abilene Christian game on Friday. We'll, of course, have a reaction show from that game. And then we'll break down the LSU game more next week, as well as a reaction show from that game and a crossover show for that game with the Locked On LSU host. So lots of fun at Locked On Aggies, and there should be lots of optimism among this fan base. Those of you that aren't subscribed to the show, if you can hit that subscribe button, it really does help. I appreciate it. If you're listening on a podcast platform, go on over and review the show, leave 5 stars. Once again, another thing that really helps me be able to do this on a day-to-day basis. So thanks so much, all you everydayers that are out here listening to Locked On Aggies on a day-to-day basis throughout this coaching search. Those of you new everydayers, old everydayers, thanks to all of you. I couldn't do what I do without you all. Thank you so very much. A lot of fun, as I said, still to come over these next few weeks. I mean, think of all the conversations we get to have. We get to have more. Who's going to be the coach? Then when they have the coach, break down his career. What's it going to look like? Who's going to be the position coaches? There's so much fun stuff to break down, so much stuff to be excited about at Locked On Aggies, and I can't wait to go on this journey with every single one of y'all. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day today, and we will see you tomorrow.